Notice and acknowledge where your breath is living. And what I mean by that is, sometimes we're breathing up into the chest cavity and we don't even know it. So like during the daytime when you're brushing your teeth, when you're thinking, we hold our breath oddly enough often. And so I just want you to know, and when we hold our breath, we tend to suck our guts in simultaneously. So what I want you to do is just notice if you're chest breathing, if you're more up here this morning. And if that's the case, can you try to create the breath or push the breath down almost, down towards the belly, but not just the abdomen, even below where you think it should go, so the pubic bone area, the side waist, and your back, your lower back. So on alternate sides of your spine and your lumbar spine, I want you to even think about breathing there. And it's easier to do it when there's something underneath you to touch, like a yoga strap. And it's also easier, I find, when we're in something like child's pose to push and create pressure into the lower back when we breathe. So we're going to work on that. But for now, just see if you can create that breath in the abdomen, side to side, front and back, up and down. So it's filling you up. Almost like if you had a resistance band wrapped around your whole abdomen, could you expand that resistance band? It's something that takes practice, so don't worry if you're kind of not quite catching on to it. We're going to keep working on this kind of breathing technique. And now from here, I want you to just tilt your pelvis and drop the tailbone down. So the arch should exist in your lower back when you do that. That's an anterior tilt of your pelvis. And now I want you to tilt your pelvis the opposite direction. So make an imprint with your lumbar spine into the mat. So it's like you're trying to lift your tailbone up towards your knees. Your lower back flattens, and you'll feel the front core unit, the core muscles, kick in when you do that. So do the opposite, tilt your pelvis. There's an arch in your lower back. You might feel how this is kind of unsupportive on its own. As you exhale, tuck your tail, imprint your lower back into the mat. Pause and feel the support of those front core muscles. I use the word core loosely. Core means a lot of things, not just six-pack abs. Do that one more time. Untuck your tail. Lower back arch exists in this position. And now tuck your tail and flatten the lower back into the mat. Now I want you to hold this pose. Hold and retain the connection of the lower back into your mat. Sense that even your lower back ribs are going to keep that connection to the mat. If you do this correctly, you're going to feel a strengthened support system, not just the front, but all the way around, like you have this corset or this blood pressure cuff around your abdomen and your spine. Keep that connection. I know you've been holding there. Keep that connection. And now with that connection, lift your knees over your hips. And I want you to still keep the connection of the tucking of the tail, the flattening of the lower back into the mat. The knees are directly over your hip joints. This alone is a lot of work. Just keeping your lower back imprinting into the mat, that might be enough for you. But I want you to keep that connection and now reach your arms up over your head. Fingers point towards the ceiling. Palms face one another. Arms are at shoulder height. And we're going to just play around with what's called dead bug, but keep the imprint of the lower back into the mat the entire time. So that's the challenge. Reach your right arm over your head behind you, as far as it can go while retaining the connection of the ribs and the low back. And now reach your left leg out in front of you. And if that's too much, if your lower back lifts off the mat when you lengthen that left leg, lift it a little higher. But I want you to squeeze the left buttocks, squeeze the left cheeks. Keep tucking the tail. We're holding here on purpose. Keep imprinting your lower back into the mat. Now we're going to switch. Bring the left knee back to midline, right arm up. First, start with your left arm over your head. Keep imprinting the lower back into the mat. Lengthen your right leg out in front of you, 45 degrees, maybe higher. Squeeze the right butt cheeks. Tuck the tail under. Imprint the lower back into the mat. Hold. You might feel so much work going on here. We're going to add on to this bit by bit in today's class. And then come back to center. Do that again. Right arm, left leg. Squeeze the left glutes. Tuck the tail. Try to take the arch out of your lower back. Come to center as you inhale. Exhale, reach away. Squeeze the right glutes. Tuck the tail. Lower back imprints. Inhale to center. Exhale, reach away. Opposite sides. Opposite. So we're doing this cross-body connection. Come back to center and then reach the left arm away, right leg away. Squeeze the right glutes. Good, come back to center. We're going to do 2 more each side. Right arm, left leg. Squeeze the left glutes. Pause for 2. Come back to center. Right leg, left arm. Squeeze the right glutes. Tuck your tail. Lower back melds into that mat. Woo! Come back to center and hold. Place your feet down to the floor. Take your arms down to the floor and just for a moment, press down into your feet, lift the hips off the mat for a gentle breeze. But squeeze your glutes here. Squeeze your glutes here because those are the back muscles of the hips. We want those to be fired up. Those are going to protect your spine as well. We don't want to go into a deep back bend here. Not quite yet, and then we're going to lower the pelvis back down to the floor. Imprint your lower back into the mat, so tuck the tail. Lift your knees back over your hips. Ankles line up with knees, so there's a 90-degree angle between ankles, knees, and hips. Now from here, take your palms, press them into your thighs. Your arm strength is going to be utilized here. So as you push your palms into your thighs, I want you to resist the thighs into the palms. So if you do it correctly, you are going to feel the core unit. So all those muscles supporting your spine, that transverse, the deepest layer of muscle, the TVA it's called. Keep pressing here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Place your feet onto the floor. Take a gentle bridge, lift the pelvis up. Squeeze the glutes when you lift the pelvis up. 1 more breath here. We're also getting the hip flexors a nice little break, firing up the back of the hips, and lower the pelvis down. This time, take a block in your hand. You can actually take both blocks. I think I said grab one. Grab both if you've got them, or you're going to use your hands again. So now we're going to just use the blocks. Press them into your thighs, lift the knees over the hips. Same exact positioning we just did, just with the use of the blocks. And we're going to tuck the tail, imprint the lower back into the mat. That is a priority here. That is a huge priority here. Now press your palms into the blocks. Press the thighs back into the blocks. Your arm strength is being used. Hopefully not your shoulders or your neck or your face. And hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Place your feet down onto the floor. Let your blocks go. Hug your knees into your chest. Rock side to side. And now from here, you're going to come up to hands and knees. You can either roll onto one side or you can rock yourself up. Make your way onto hands and knees. I'm just going to adjust the computer screen for 1 second. You're in tabletop positioning. Okay, and from here, we're just going to do a couple of traditional spinal waves, cat-cows. But we're going to add on to it. So from here, just tuck your tail, roll through your lower back, middle back, upper back, look back at your belly. So you're in cat pose. Notice in cat pose how you feel the strength of the front muscles, the anterior core muscles, as you stretch the back. And then do the opposite, just lift the tailbone, arc through the middle back, maybe gaze lifts slightly, and you feel strength in the spinal muscles here as you stretch the front body. Exhale, tuck your tail, push the floor away. Inhale, coming into cow pose. Exhale, tuck your tail, push the floor away, let the neck go. Inhale, coming into cow pose. From here, bump your feet over to the right and look over your right shoulder. Looking back to that right foot. So you might feel this in the left waist or left side body, a little lateral side leaning here. Come to center, bump your feet over to the left. Look over your left shoulder, try to keep your chest square. And you might feel this in the right side body, but I still want you to feel the support 360 degrees around your spine in that core unit. And now come back to center. From here, do that again. Right feet to the right, look to the right. Inhale to center, exhale, feet to the left, look to the left. Inhale to center, last time, feet to the right, look to the right. Center, feet to the left, look to the left. And center. Stay here. I just want you to turn your fingers to face your thighs. So just flip the palms around. Because we're going to get our wrists quite a few times today. So fingers point towards your thighs. Heels of the hands remain on the floor. And now I want you to just lean back a little bit, but keep the heels of your hands on the floor. Right? So that's a priority here. I'm sure you're feeling a whole lot in your hands, your wrists, maybe your forearms. Okay, and then you're just going to turn your fingers out towards the side walls. And just make some circles with your torso to the right. So we're just loading the wrists. We're getting the wrists ready for our body weight. If you feel that your wrists are prepared, right, you know that your wrists are strong, feel free to come into plank pose while we do this, these circles with our torso. And then go to the left, with or without your knees down, it doesn't matter. And then from here, come back to center. You might want to put your knees back onto the floor, turn your fingers to face forward once again. And now what I want you to do is keep your arms straight. Reach your inner armpits forward as you reach your outer arm bones back. So that just ensures that external rotation of your arms. And now I want you to start hip hinging. So send your pelvis back towards your heels just a little. And now pull your fingernails back towards your forearms. So you're lifting your palms off the floor. And it's like there are these little magnets in your fingernails that are trying to be pulled back into your forearms. You should feel work in the wrist joint as well as your forearms. And then just release out of that. Now from here, just come onto the tops of your hands. So this is going to feel kind of awkward, I'm sure. Oh, maybe not so yummy. Whew. And you're pressing down into the tops of your hands. You can back off the load of your body weight a little bit. You're going to feel the stretch in the top or front of your forearms. And then just release out of that. So stay in your quadruped position. Take a yoga block, if you've got it, and place it on your pelvis. So the challenge here is going to be keeping that block on your pelvis, not letting it drop. Now I want you to just be mindful of keeping your spine in neutral and your pelvis stable, your arms in external rotation. Push the floor away, so strong arms. Press into the balls of your feet. And now lift your knees and hover for a second. Your knees lift just an inch off the mat. And I just want you to, this is just awakening that support of the core unit surrounding your spine. Feel front, side to side, back. And now place the knees back down. Keep the block where it is, don't let it drop. And now lift your right arm out in front of you into flexion. And thumb points up while you're there. And now reach the arm back. You can bend through the elbow, but then reach your arm back. And externally rotate the arm, so spiral the palm out. Sweep the arm out in front of you, thumb points up. Bend through the elbow, reach the arm back, thumb points down. Externally rotate the arm, thumb points up. Now notice what you have to do to keep your pelvis stable here. Reach your arm out in front of you, thumb points up. Pause. Lift your left leg back and up. Don't lift it so high that your lower back starts to hammock or dump towards the floor. So if it doesn't lift as high as your hip joint, fine. What do you need to do to keep that core unit supported here? What do you need to do to keep that spine stable? Good, hold. Now I want you to lift an inch, leg and arm, and lower an inch. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift and hold. Place your right hand down, place your left knee down. Stabilize your pelvis, stabilize your spine. From here, just reach your left arm out in front of you in a handshake gesture. You can bend your elbow like you're pulling something back, and then reach your arm straight back into extension. Externally rotate that arm. Circle it out wide and then alongside of your ear again, thumb points up. 2 more times, bend the elbow, reach the arm back. Circle it out wide and then reach it out in front of you. Last time, we're just getting the shoulders warmed up here. Reach back, lift the arm as high as it can go without your chest turning to the side. Externally rotate the arm, circle it out in front of you, and hold. So keeping the spine and pelvis stable, that block there, lift your right leg back and up. Again, doesn't matter how high the leg lifts. And in fact, can you visualize tucking your tail a little bit here? Pulling your front ribs in a little bit here. Breathe. Squeeze the right glutes. We're going to lift an inch and lower an inch. Lift an inch and lower an inch. Lift an inch and lower an inch. Hold. Place the left hand down. Place the right knee down. So just for now, remove your block. And I want you to reach your right leg back. Keep the left knee down. Roll onto the inner edge of your right foot, kind of like a warrior 2 pose with that leg. And now reach your right arm up and turn the chest open to the side. So it's like a side plank. The bottom knee is down on purpose. From here, what we're doing is lengthening through the right waist. The strengthening component is coming from the bottom waist and core unit. Reach your right arm alongside of your right ear and see if you can lift through the rib cage. So lengthen the right waistline. Good. You're feeling the work on the bottom waistline here. And now I want you to lift the arm up and reach towards your foot. And as you do that, crunch up. So now you're going to use the top waist as a strengthening unit, and you're lengthening the bottom waist. So you should feel this in the obliques. Now from here, reach your right arm up alongside your ear again, and lengthen the waist. Stretch, feel the stretch. And then you're going to come up and you're going to almost do like a little crunch. Again, inhale up, reach over, right waist lengthens, feel the stretch. And then do that little mini crunch through the obliques. Reach for your right leg. Stay here, reach your right arm straight up. Squeeze, tuck the tail a little bit. And now inhale, lift your right leg up. So we're working the outer hip muscles, the glutes. Feel the support. What does your core unit have to do here to feel stable and support through the spine? Now from here, we're just going to lift the right leg up an inch and lower an inch. Lift an inch and lower an inch. Lift and lower. 3 and lower. 4 and lower. 5, hold. Woo. And place the foot down. Come back to quadruped, right knee on the floor, and we're just going to switch sides. So I'm going to turn around so that my back isn't facing to you. So reach your left leg back. Take the right foot a little over to the right. Roll onto the inner edge of the left foot. And now you're going to reach your left arm up. Try not to dump into that right shoulder. So stabilize that shoulder blade, push the floor away. And now reach your left arm up alongside of your left ear. Feel the stretch for the entire left waist, all the way down to the hip. Feel the work in the lower waist, the lower core. And now we're going to do those little mini crunches. So lift your left arm up and now reach for your left leg and crunch up. So it's like a side curl. Inhale, lift and lengthen, so feel the stretch. Exhale to reach and curl up. Inhale, lift and lengthen, reach away. Exhale to curl up. Curl up through the left waist, like the ribs are trying to hit your pelvis. Good, now come to neutral, stay there and lift your left leg up to hip height, maybe lower, squeeze the glute. And we're going to do 5 pulses. Lift for 1 and lower. 2 and lower. 3 and lower. 4 and lower. 5 and lower. Lift, hold, hold, hold. Place the foot down, come back to quadruped or tabletop, face the floor. Make your way into downward facing dog. Downward dog, notice what that feels like right now. And play with your downward dog. So maybe you rotate the pelvis from side to side. Let your pelvis get involved. Let your spine get involved. Your knees, your ankles. What feels kind of stuck and stiff and achy today, if anything? Give it a little love. Maybe make some circles with your spine even. Think of cat-cow in your spine. And then hold your down dog, pause. Lift your 10 toes away from the floor or visualize that happening. So it's like you're pulling your toenails back towards your shins. As you reach your heels towards the floor, so that wakes up your ankle joints. And now, with the toes lifting, walk your feet up to the top of your mat. Keep the toes lifting the whole time as much as you can. And then release the toes, bend your knees, let your head go. Press down into your heels, tuck your tail under, and roll up through your spine. No rush. Let's wake up that spine. Everything needs to be woken up in the morning. It's like coffee for your body. And then from here, circle the arms up over your head. Let's do some traditional half sun salutes. And exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, spinal wave forward and lift half up. This is like a little cobra in your spine. And exhale, fold. Tuck your tail. We're going to roll up again if that's safe for your body. Tuck your tail. Visualize the sacrum, visualize your lumbar spine, rib cage part of spine, all the way up to your neck. Arms up over your head, and exhale, hands to heart. Little bend in your knees. Inhale, arms overhead. Lift the arms from the armpits. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale to a half high lift, long spine, pause, and exhale, fold. One more time, spinal roll up, tuck your tail. Take the arch out of your lower back. You should feel strength in the front body as you roll up and you stretch the back body. Arms up at the top, hands to heart as you exhale. Drop your arms, just let them hang out. Drop your chin towards your chest. Put a little bend in your knees, tuck your tail. From here, visualize a magnet on the top of your head, and that's what it is leading you down through that spinal roll down. And you're slowly just rolling down. Visualize your spine like a chain, right? So don't skip out on any parts of it. My middle back always feels a little stuck and sticky in the morning. Good, and then from here, you're just going to plant your palms, pop up onto your fingertips, whatever feels best. Take an inhale, step that left leg back. As you exhale, right leg back, plank pose. Take an inhale in your plank pose. Pause as you exhale in your plank pose. So really push the floor away. Tuck the tail and squeeze your glutes. I want you to feel the support around your spine, 360 degrees via your breath. Pretend you're pulling your hands back towards your toes. Inner armpits reach forward, outer arm bones pull back towards your hips. That'll stabilize your shoulders. Now with or without your knees, it's up to you. You're going to lower to the floor. Everything hopefully comes down at the same time. Once you're on your belly, your nose is going to kiss the floor. Your arms are going to reach straight back. You're going to tuck your tail and press your pelvis heavily into the floor. So it's almost like you're trying to take the arch out of your lower back first, so that the lower back doesn't take over. Now you can hover your forehead off the mat, reach to the crown of your head, press into your pelvis, and just lift your arms up. So your arms are lifting up into extension. Stay here, reach to the crown of your head. Your pelvis is heavy. Lift your arms as high as they can go. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Work those posterior shoulder muscles, back muscles. And then lower down. Plant your palms alongside your lower ribs. Squeeze your shoulder blades together to press them down your back towards your hips. Press into your pelvis. We'll take a little cobra as we inhale. Just climb up. Don't come up so high that something does not feel good in your lower back. And exhale, lower. Two more like that. Inhale, climb up, little cobra. Push into your pelvis. No weight on your hands. Exhale, lower. Last time. Inhale, little cobra. And exhale, lower down. Either push the floor away and come right into plank, or hands and knees. Make your way into downward dog. Take an inhale and lift your left leg up. Exhale, step your foot forward, helping it up if you need to. Inhale here, and exhale, step your right foot up to meet your left foot and forward fold. Let your neck go. Keep the knees bent. Push down into your feet and roll up through your spine. Head hangs, arms hang. Arms circle out and up at the top, and then hands come to heart center. Inhale, arms stretch up over your head. Exhale, fold over your legs, Uttanasana. Inhale to a half high lift, reaching through the crown of the head and your tail. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step your right leg back. Exhale, step into plank. Inhale and plank pose. Exhale and plank pose. So you're going to lower all the way down to the mat with or without your knees. Squeeze the glutes. Everything comes down at the same time. And now from here, reach your arms back again. Forehead on the mat or nose kisses the mat. Neck is long. Press into your pelvis. Lift your arm bones. And now lift and lengthen your legs. So you're in flying locust. Keep pressing into your pubic bone. Maybe squeeze your inner ankles together. Get your inner thighs working, your hamstrings working. Good. Take one more inhale here as you exhale, lower down. Push your palms into the floor. Inhale, little cobra. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, little cobra. And now from here in your little cobra, maybe you want to come up a little higher so you can push down and come into a higher back bend. But avoid your lower back feeling as though it's taking the grunt of the work. Stabilize your shoulder blades. Push into your pubic bone. Inhale, stay. Exhale, lower down. Either push up to plank or hands and knees. Push the floor away. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, the right leg lifts. Exhale, step the foot forward. Help it up if you have to. Take a breath in, stay where you are. Exhale, step your back foot forward and fold. Inhale, roll up through your spine. Arms reach out and up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Moving on here, take an inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale to a half high lift. Exhale, fold. Step your left leg back, come down onto your knee, and then step your right leg back, come down onto your knee. Grab your yoga block, place it back onto your pelvis. The trick is to keep the block where it is. So from here, I'm going to have you actually bump yourself, just crawl back for a moment to the back end of your mat. You'll see why in a second. Keep that block there. Try not to let your lower back hammock towards the floor. So if you have to, maybe even tuck your tail just a little bit. Now from here, put a little micro bend in your elbows so that your chest cavity is the same height as your pelvis. Without the bend in the elbows, you're more on a slope. So the back of your head down to your pelvis, it's on a diagonal slope. If you bend your elbows, we're creating more of a horizontal line. Now you're externally rotating your arms, okay? The eyes of your arm or your elbows are pointing forward. Yes, your arms are working and your shoulders are working. Your spine is neutral. From here, can you lift your right hand off an inch without anything else moving? And then place it down. Lift your left hand off the mat an inch. Nothing else moves. Lower it down. Switch sides. Right hand up and lower. Left hand up and lower. Now right hand up, left knee up. Notice what has to happen in the spine and the core unit to feel supported, and lower. Left hand up, right knee up. Just an inch, it's not big. And lower. Right hand up, left knee up. And lower. Left hand up, right knee up. And lower. We're going to add on to this. If you need to stay with this variation, you do. If you want to fire it up a little, lift your knees an inch off the mat. Woo! Tuck your tail a little bit. Elbows a little bent maybe. Now can you lift your right hand and walk your left foot forward? So it's like you're crawling. And then your left hand forward and your right knee forward. So it's opposite hand, opposite knee, crawling to the front of your mat. The block does not drop. Maybe one more. And forward, and now we're going to go backwards. Back, and back, back, and back. Minimal movement of the pelvis, back, and hold. Place the knees down. Woo! I know that's a lot of work. I just broke into my sweat. Come to the middle of your mat. Come into downward facing dog. Good. From here, take an inhale, come forward into plank. As you exhale, lower to the floor with or without your knees. Squeeze the glutes, tuck the tail. From here, reach your arms out in front of you. Take the backs, bend your elbows and take the backs of your hands to your forehead. So your forehead is pressing down into the backs of your hands, which are stacked one on top of the other. Press down into your pelvis, so pubic bone presses into the mat. When you do that, you should feel almost like your belly wants to lift off the floor. Now, press your hands into your forehead into your hands, and inhale, lift up. Spinal extension. Keep pressing into your pubic bone. Glutes are engaged. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Hold. Reach your arms out in front of you. Palms face one another. Thumbs point up. Can you lift your legs up and lengthen? Press into the pubic bone. These muscles still support your spine, all the muscles in your back. You should feel the front muscles kicking in. Woo! And then lower down. Either press up to hands and knees or straight to plank. It's your choice. Come into downward dog. Inhale, the left leg lifts. Exhale, step the foot forward. Inhale, the right leg meets it. And exhale, fold. Inhale, come up to stand. You don't have to roll up, you can extend. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, the arms overhead. Exhale to fold. Inhale to a half high lift. And exhale, fold. Let the neck go. Inhale, step your right leg back. Come down onto your right knee. Left knee back, you're in quadruped or tabletop once again. So if you want to make this a little more fiery, you can grab the block, place it on your pelvis, yes. Okay, those damn blocks. Now you're going to push into the floor, externally rotate the arms, stabilize through the spine. Don't let that hammocking happen in that lower back. Now you're going to lift your knees and inch off the mat, so you're in bear pose. So just like we did in crawling, but we're not going to crawl. So you can stay here. I'm going to suggest taking your hands a little narrower and taking your knees a little wider. You can stay here and touch your right hand to your left thigh and push and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. You don't have to add that on, you can just stay with the hovering. Take your left hand to your right thigh and push one into one another and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Place your knees down, chuck your block. Come into downward facing dog. That feels like an intermission at this point. Take an inhale, spinal way forward into plank and lower to the floor. Your choice of how you get there. Knees can be down first. From here, reach your arms straight back. Nose kisses your mat. Press into your pelvis. I want you to just lift your right arm into extension and lift your left leg. Now don't lift your left leg so high that you feel your lower back start to come into a back bend. So it's not about the height of the lift. Your right shoulder blade squeezes in towards your spine and it depresses down your back. You're going to feel your right triceps. Your left glutes are on. You're reaching through the left toes. Your forehead faces the mat. Reach for the crown of your head and now lower, but keep your head lifting. Lift your left arm and your right leg. Woo. Avoid that right shoulder from dumping forward by retracting, squeezing the shoulder blade in towards the spine, depressing it down your back. Feel the left triceps kick in. Your lower back shouldn't be taking any of the load here and any of the work. Only lift your right leg as high as it can go without the lower back dumping. So you even want to think about tucking your tail under. You're squeezing the glutes. Hold, hold, hold. And then lower down. Press up to hands and knees. Take a moment in child's pose, a moment. In this moment of child's pose, you might notice you can breathe more into those lower back muscles in that 360-degree breath. And now roll forward to hands and knees. Make your way into downward dog. Inhale, the right leg lifts. Exhale, step the foot forward. Inhale, the left foot meets it. And exhale to fold. Stay here for a moment. Step your left leg back as you inhale. Stay as you exhale and inhale. Come up to high lunge. Just add a little bit of hip work here. So contain your front ribs. I'm going to bend that back knee to take the back bend out of my lower back. Okay, because my leg doesn't like to extend without a huge dump into my lower back. And you might know that about yourself as well. And then from here, I want you to inhale and just lift the pelvis up, maybe straighten your legs any amount, and exhale, bend. Inhale up, exhale, bend. Inhale up, the back knee dips down, you bend. Reach forward, tilt forward on the diagonal, pause. Take your hands down to the floor, or you can grab your blocks. I'm going to grab my blocks. And now from here, just lengthen through the crown of your head. Pull the right outer hip flesh back. Level off your pelvis side to side. And then straighten your front leg any amount. So you're in a half high lift. I want you to visualize pulling or dragging your front heel backwards so that you fire up the hamstrings, meaning you activate and contract them isometrically. So it's an active stretch. You can fold over your front thigh if that feels like it's what you need today. Either way, you're breathing in and out through your nose. You don't need as much support for the spine here because we're in a passive, half-active stretch. Right? It's not like we're in plank pose, is my point. And now lift up to a half-high lift. Keep your left hand on the block, your fingertips, or the floor. And now take your right hand to your sacrum. Roll the right, make sure you're not dumping that right shoulder forward. So lift the head of the arm bone. And now inhale, twist open to the right. You might even want to take your hand and try to avoid from tilting your pelvis. Try to avoid the pelvis from tilting. So if you keep your hand on the pelvis, see if you can stabilize it so that the twist comes from the rib cage part of your spine, the thoracic spine. And then just square off to center. Inhale, open up and twist. Exhale to center. Inhale, open up and twist. Now, if you want, you can let your pelvis rotate with the twist, and you can reach that top arm up. So it's your choice. All right, what feels best in your body? What are you feeling? What do you need? One more inhale here. One more exhale. And then come through center. Bend your front knee, plant your palms, come into downward facing dog. If you want, you can take a little flow here. So if you want to come forward into plank, go into chaturanga, or go right into up dog, that's your choice. There's no right or wrong. What do you need? We all make our way into downward facing dog. Take an inhale, that left leg lifts back and up. As you exhale, draw the knee towards the nose, step the foot forward and pause. So adjust yourself for high lunge. I'm going to bump my back foot in a little. Come on up as you inhale. Lift the arms up from the armpits. Contain your front ribs, tuck your tail even. And then inhale, just lift up. And exhale, dip down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, dip down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, dip down. Stay here, tilt forward on a diagonal, pause. And you might want to reach for your yoga blocks. I'm going to go for the highest height. I have short arms, so it's helpful to keep my chest and torso off that thigh. Now breathe in, and as you exhale, start to straighten your front leg any amount. Any amount. Stay in this half-high lift, spinal extension. You may want to visualize dragging your front heel backwards. It's helpful to have your hands on blocks to do that, I find. It just gives you something to push down on so you can isometrically pull the heel back. Whew. Now you can stay here in your half-high lift, or you can fold over your front thigh and spinal wave up and down a couple of times. Come up into that half-high lift, fold one more time, enjoy it, hopefully enjoy it to some capacity. And then now you can lift up halfway and pause. So that right hand might want to remain on the block. Your left palm can go to your sacrum. Stabilize your left shoulder blade. Reach to the crown of your head. Now, see if you can keep your pelvis stable. Don't let it tilt as you rotate the chest to the left. So it's a small twist and it's through the thoracic spine. Come back to center 2 more times. Inhale to twist. Exhale to center. Inhale to twist. Exhale to center. Inhale, twist, and hold. Now, if you'd like, you can let your pelvis go along for the ride. Okay, there's no right or wrong, right? It's going to take more of the twist out of the middle upper back if you do that, but you might feel it more on the outer hip flesh, which is maybe what you want today. Get a little IT band stuff going on. One more inhale, one more exhale. And now come through center. Bend your front knee, plant your palms, come into downward facing dog. And if you'd like, go ahead and take a vinyasa, maybe it's a cat-cow, go through the flow. Meet in downward facing dog. Then from here, take an inhale and lift your heels up high so you come onto the balls of your feet. And as you exhale, step, walk, or hop your feet to the top of your mat. Let your neck go. And slowly roll up through your spine with intention. Tuck your tail. Knees are bent. Come all the way up to stand. All right, so we've done so much, done a lot of core work. I'm just going to tack on a little extra balancing work and hip work. So from here, if you want to make this really challenging for yourself and want to play with balance today, balance requires support of the core, then you can stand your right foot or your left foot on a yoga block. You don't have to do that. But your heel is going to anchor onto the block. Your toes can just hook over. Hands to pelvis. Stand nice and tall on your block. Press down into that foot. From here, you're going to just bend your right knee up to hip height. Squeeze the left glutes. Get tall through your spine. And then you're going to take the leg out to the side. Okay, and maybe see how high you can lift the knee without using your hand. Woo! And you're squeezing the left glutes a whole lot. Now grab the right knee with your right hand. Right? And if you can't reach for it or you can't get it, that's okay. You're just hovering and holding and working on hip strength in the hip flexors. Now pull with your hand if you can. Squeeze the left glutes, tall spine. Now keep the knee lifting as high as you can, just release your hand. Okay, so you're going to feel the strength work in your hip flexors. Woo! And now pull with your hand. And then release. Pull with your hand. And release. And now cross the ankle onto the thigh, the opposite thigh. Squeeze the left glutes. Okay, now you can, maybe this is where you stay. Squeeze the ankle into the thigh and the thigh back into the ankle. I want you to keep going no matter how much you might be wobbling or stumbling, because balance is important off the yoga mat, right? You trip and you fall, your brain is going to say, oh, I got this. So stay here, or you can start to hip hinge, tilt your pelvis forward just a little. You can stay here, or you can start to bend the standing leg on the block. So it's like a standing pigeon pose. You don't need to be on the block, but I want you to squeeze the ankle into the thigh and squeeze the thigh back into your ankle. So whatever variation you're in, you should feel work in the outer hip muscles. Your arms can do whatever they need to counterbalance, by the way, like mine are, flailing around. Okay, sit back as far as you can go, hip hinge. The movement comes from the pelvis, not the spine. Your spine is neutral. And then you're slowly going to come back up to stand, oops, and place the foot down and switch sides. So just bump the block over if you're standing on it. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're on it or you're not, but your foot goes on the block, your right foot, heel anchors you down, you stand up tall. Squeeze the right glutes. Bend your left knee no higher than your hip joint. This might be where you play for a while. Otherwise, you're going to take the thigh out to the side in abduction. Keep your pelvis facing forward. How high can you lift that knee? And then can you reach down and pull the knee with your arm strength? So this is a passive stretch, but now can you remove your hand and keep the leg lifting? So you're going to feel maybe some pinching in the hip flexor. And then pull with your arm strength. And then release. Pull. And then release. And now ankle to knee. Ankle to knee. Let's roll that thigh open. Squeeze the glute. Squeeze the ankle into the leg. If your ankle needs to be below your knee joint, that's fine. You can hold here. Okay, this is a lot of work. You can also come to a wall if you need a little help with your balance today. And or you can start to hip hinge. Arms can counterbalance. Knee can start to bend. And it's like you're reaching your tailbone back. So you want to keep the little arch in your lower back here. And the movement is initiated from your pelvis as opposed to your spine. Okay, so this requires patience, focus. What's going on below your knee joint? Ankles are working. Everything is working. Breathe. It's almost over. And then slowly start to come up. Woo. Lift the knee, place the foot down, bump your block outside of your mat, come to the top of your mat. Inhale, the arms reach up over your head. And as you exhale, fold over your legs. Take an inhale and lift halfway up, reaching through the crown of the head. And exhale, fold. Step back into plank pose. Take an inhale and plank pose. We're going to lower the knees down to the mat for a moment and bump them directly underneath your hips. Directly underneath your hips. Now, you're going to have some options here. Okay, everybody, different levels. Everybody's got their own level. Every day is a different day with your level. So you're either going to take your tricky tiger here. You can take the block on your pelvis and reach your right arm and left leg back and play with that. Or you're going to come into plank pose and get really wild and crazy with me. Okay, you can also hold plank pose with the block on your pelvis. Squeeze the glutes, tuck the tail, push the floor away. Now from here, so when you push the floor away, it's kind of like your core gets buoyant. Maybe, I'm going to suggest that you take your feet wider than hip distance. And maybe you lift your right hand off the mat for a second. And then place it down. Maybe you lift your left hand off for a second. Pelvis is stable here. And place it down. Maybe you lift your right toes off. And place it down. You can be on your knees doing tricky tiger. Maybe you lift your left toes off. And place it down. What would it look like to lift your right arm and your left leg? Woo! Not pretty. Place them down. What would it look like to lift your right leg and your left arm or hand? Place them down. Come into down dog. Let your block dump. Woo! Down dog seems like a real easeful posture at this very moment, doesn't it? Good. From here, spinal wave forward into plank. Lower to the floor with or without your knees. Everything comes down. Reach your arms back. And I want you to, your nose kisses the mat. You press down into your pelvis to lengthen the lower back. And then bend your right knee. Toes point up to the sky, or you can flex at the ankle. Actually, flex at the ankle. And you're going to reach your left arm back for your right ankle. And they may not touch, that doesn't matter. But you're just reaching back. You're keeping your chest squared though. I mean, I'm never going to touch that ankle. But I don't want you to have this dumping into your lower back. So keep pressing into your pubic bone. We're working on leg extension, arm extension at the same time, cross-body core work. There's so much going on in this pose. And then lower down. Bend your left knee. Flex the ankle. Push down into your pubic bone. Lift your forehead off the mat. Lift your chest. And now lift your right arm up. Avoid that right shoulder from dumping forward. So squeeze the shoulder blade in towards your spine. And even to press it down your back. Now, can you feel this in your lower back? If so, see if you can take a little bit of that out by tucking your tail. And you're just going to reach back. Lift that left leg. Squeeze that glute. Don't let any of this compress your lower back though. Right, so the back bend comes from the middle part of your spine, upper part of your spine. Breathe. Whew. This is great for posture and everything else. And then lower down. Oh my God. Woo, let everything go for a moment. Maybe turn your head to one side. Turn your head to the other side. And turn your head back to face the floor, press up to child's pose. Maybe your hips stay over your knees and that feels better for you, but either way, you're going to bow your chest forward if you're in puppy dog, or you're going to round your spine if you're in child's pose. In either pose that you're taking, can you feel your breath expand into the lower back? Can you feel as though that's puffing up on your inhale? Easier to do that when you're forward folding over yourself versus lying on your back. Good, very slowly come up to tabletop or hands and knees. Swing your legs around so that you're sitting down. Good. And from here, we're going to take a block, place it in between the thighs, and squeeze. Your knees are bent, your feet are on the floor, hip distance apart. You're squeezing the block. And then your hands are going to slide behind your pelvis. And now it's up to you if it feels best to turn your fingers out to the side walls or not. Okay, whatever feels best on your wrists. Keep squeezing your block. Retract your shoulder blades, so squeeze them together. Lift up through your breastbone, push the floor away. And then you're just going to press into your heels and any amount lift your pelvis up. So if this doesn't feel good on your lower back to lift your pelvis very high, then stay low. If you can lift, we're in reverse tabletop. If you can lift a little higher, maybe you squeeze the glutes, squeeze the block. You can gaze at your belly or you can gaze at the ceiling. This is just ensuring that we work the back body. Right? We did a lot of plank stuff, forward body stuff, anterior chain stuff. So we just want to balance it out always. And this just feels good. Chances are you're not doing this in your daily routine. And then lower the pelvis down. Whew. Okay, so from here, remove your block. A little more for the core unit. Grab hold of your kneecaps with your hands. Sit nice and tall through your spine. And now I want you to let your spine roll. So make a C curve with your spine. You're holding your knees. You're tucking your tail. And if you tuck your tail enough, you're going to feel these anterior core muscles fire up. So what we're doing is we're stretching the back body as we're working the front body. Now, can you keep that pelvic tuck and that flexion of your spine and lift your arms away from your knees and reach forward? Now, at the same time, so your feet are on the floor, you're in a C curve with your spine. Your feet might want to lift off the floor. Can you articulate through each segment of the spine? Now we're going to come back up, just a warning. So feel your sacrum land, then maybe your lower back, then your lower ribs, and then your shoulder blades come down and you start to come back up. So once the shoulder blades are down, you then start to curl back up. Woo, think of the ribs leading you, your nose leading you. C curve of the spine. This is so good for your spine. Sit tall as you inhale and exhale. Make that C curve first and start to spinal roll down. You really want to visualize each and every vertebra on the way down, and then you're going to come back up. Woo, the way up is so much harder. As slow as you can go. We're going to do that 2 more times if you've got it in you. Tuck your tail, sacrum, lumbar spine, rib cage part of spine. Come back up nice and slow, no rush. I say that with kindness. Of course we want to rush. And then let's do that one more time. Tuck your tail. Lower down, and then you're going to come back up. Ooh. And now we're going to go all the way down to the floor. So tuck your tail. Feel your sacrum, feel your lowest set of ribs, lower back, lower ribs, shoulder blades light all the way back, all the way down. And you're just going to bump your heels back until they're under your knees. Arms are just stretched out alongside of your body. Squeeze the glutes, come into an easeful bridge. Make sure you're squeezing the glutes here. Notice how or what has been woke up. Feel the support around your spine. You're going to take that with you the rest of your day, the rest of your week. And then slowly lower the pelvis down. We're not quite done yet. We just want to ensure that we fire up these deep transversus muscles. So lift your knees back over your hips. Okay? Ankles in line with knees, knees over hips. Tuck your tail, imprint your lower back into the mat. Press your palms into your thighs and resist your thighs back into your palms. So arms are working. Keep the lower back pushing into the floor. Hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Place your feet on the floor, take an easeful bridge, lift your pelvis up. Good, and then lower your pelvis down to the floor. Cross your right ankle onto your left thigh. We'll get those hips one last time. So it's figure 4 or reclined pigeon pose. And I want you to, without your hands, lift your left knee over your left hip. Squeeze the ankle into the thigh and squeeze the thigh back into the ankle. You should feel the right outer hip muscles kick in when you do that. So it's an isometric contraction. You can then curl up and interlace your fingers around your thigh and make it a passive stretch. Or around your shin, traditional, a little more traditional in yoga here. I'm going to take 1, 2 more breaths in this pose. And then place your left foot down, uncross the ankle, cross your left ankle to your right thigh, externally rotate the thigh, and without your arms, lift the right knee over the right hip, and squeeze the left ankle into the right thigh and press the thigh back into the ankle. So you should feel work so it's really, this is mobilizing that hip joint. It's improving the range of motion of the thigh in the hip socket. Hopefully. Okay, you're then going to take the passive stretch. So interlace the fingers behind the thigh. Squeeze the ankle into the thigh. Drop your tailbone towards the floor. Let the muscles in your face soften. Notice if there's any funky, unnecessary muscular engagement in your shoulders, your neck. And then you're slowly going to release. Place the right foot on the floor. Uncross the ankle. We're going to do one more bridge, but involve our spine. So before you lift your pelvis up, I want you to first tuck your tail, imprint your lower back into the mat, pause, and now lift your pelvis and just roll up through your lower back. Pause, and now start to roll up through your middle back. And now roll up through the entire spine. Right? Spinal segmentation here. Now we're going to roll down in the opposite direction. So start to roll down and visualize coming down from the top of your spine, the middle of your spine, the lower part of your spine, your pelvis, your sacrum, your tail. From here, straighten your left leg, hug your right knee into your chest. Pull your right knee towards your chest as you reach your left heel away, like you're pushing to a wall in front of you. And just roll onto the left outer hip. So take a spinal twist. Cross the right leg over the midline to the left. And reach your right arm out to the side. You can look over the right shoulder. Let your breath just be very organic here, right? No need to control anymore. Slowly come back through center. Left knee hugs into chest, right leg straightens on the floor. And pretend you're pushing your right foot into a wall as you, in opposition, pull your left knee towards your chest. Cross the left thigh over the midline of the body. Roll onto the right outer hip. Reach the left arm to the left. You can look over your left shoulder. Slowly come back through midline. And it's up to you what you would like to do for before Shavasana, if anything. Or you can just lie down in Shavasana, or maybe you take a restorative bridge pose, whatever you're craving, right? Or sometimes we just have favorite poses that we like to conclude class with. And just start to settle in. Now's the time to let everything really go. Right? No more work, no more effort. Start to allow your body really to settle into the mat so that your brain can identify the fact that it's time to rest, it's time to let go, it's time to do nothing. It's safe to do nothing. Maybe let your mouth be slightly open. Notice if the skin around your eyes and between your eyebrows is furrowing, and see if you can just let it go, soften it, really. I'm just going to be quiet so that you can baste in the residue of the practice, whatever that is for you today, whatever that means for you today. Start to reawaken your awareness of your breath. Visualize that breath as you inhale 360 degrees around. So from the belly to the side waist to the back body. As you inhale, you expand. And as you exhale, just let that go. Do that again. Breathing in, expand from the inside out. And as you exhale, just let that go. Last time, inhale to expand. And exhale to let it go. Maybe gather your knees up into your chest. Rock a little side to side if that feels good. Maybe make your way onto your side and pause there and just take a breath in and out. Gently roll yourself up to a comfortable seat. Pause and sit tall and feel the support of everything around your spine. Feel the support, front, back, side to side. Maybe grow a little taller thinking about that support system. Feel your breath support you. Take your hands to prayer, bow your head to your heart. Always take time to thank yourself for showing up. And enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste.